Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Quinton Morris, artist, scholar, and residence here at King FM. Welcome to the second episode of Unmute the Voices video series. I have the distinct honor and pleasure of welcoming one of the world's greatest opera sopranos. This is a woman who is legendary within her own right, who has made incredible contributions to the classical music world, and someone that I respect greatly and someone that I admire as a person. That person is Angela Brown, and I am so glad to have you here. Welcome, Angela. Thank you for being here.
I'm glad to be here.
How are you? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm real good. I'm blessed.
Yeah. How have you been doing since the pandemic? Like, how's that been for you?
Well, I've been busy. I have been creating from my own little corner and my own little during the pandemic, so many things have blossomed and come into fruition for me. Award-winning podcast called Needed Moments in Classical Music.
Yes.
That I co-host with Joshua Thompson, and it was the 2020 Black Podcasting Award winner for Best New Podcast.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. And then I started teaching more virtually, and I was able to take the show that I have been doing for years, for 20 years, my opera from a sister's point of view.
Yes.
I was able to augment it, and it's now called Opera from a Sister's Point of View, Generation Next, where I shine on the next generation of young Black opera singers. And I was able to actually do that virtually, from video to tape, with Cincinnati Opera and Birmingham Opera. And I've been busy. I've been doing a lot of these kinds of Zoom content shows. It's been fun.
So, I mean, even with the pandemic, I mean, you've been so busy doing all of these different types of projects. How is it different for you doing these projects now versus if we weren't in a pandemic, where you would be performing on stage? Like, would you still have time to do all of these other activities?
Probably not as thoughtful time as a performer. When you are in demand, you are in demand, and you try to do everything.
Right.
But I may not have had my dream, like the Generation Next for Opera from a Sister's Point of View, to come through the way it did. When I created Opera from a Sister's Point of View, I created it because I knew opera companies weren't always going to be checking for a sister. And I wanted to be able to make a way for myself to still be viable, to still be relevant in the industry, and to make a dollar. At some point in my life, that I wanted to augment it, to add, to where I would be giving back my reasonable service to the young singers, in the opera world, maybe be able to, shine a light into some of the things that I have had to go through. Which brings me to another point. I'm also doing my Morning Brown, which is my foundation that brings culture to cultural deserts. Opera from a Sister's Point of View is under that umbrella. So all of these things just bubbled and moved down the track even further during the pandemic. So I probably wouldn't have had an opportunity to do it with the excellence that I'm able to now.
Okay. So let's say your agent gets 10 calls. Okay.
Let's say that.
Okay. No, seriously. Let's say that your agent gets 10 calls. You've got Carnegie Hall. You got La Scala in the next 2 years. You've got Carnegie Hall next year. The Met calls you for an Aida.
Manifest, bro. Manifest.
Seriously, hey, I'm putting it out there. So let's say you get all these calls in the next year, and you're booked for the next 3 years, because I know in opera you all book way far in advance.
Not as far as they used to, but yes.
Okay, fair. But let's say your agent gets 10 calls. Let's say Vogue magazine calls you up, Ebony isn't, they're interested. You are slammed with all this work. What happens to your dream? What happens to the other projects that you are now doing? How do you manage that?
Well, I'll tell you what we have done in the past. We will probably
Okay.
to our past model, which is whenever I go out to do a symphonic gig or an operatic gig,
Mhm.
they have educational programming that they're always trying to find to breathe life into. Okay,
Yeah.
so I would offer my opera from a sister's point of view
Hmm.
as part of their educational programming, and that would be while I was in whatever city or country
Hmm.
that I'm being put up on in at the time. So yeah.
And what type of audience does Sister's Point of View attract?
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked that. Opera from a Sister's Point of View is a show that demystifies opera for audiences that normally wouldn't go. Now, I have to
Mhm.
be honest. When I first did the show, I thought it was a black thing, that just black
Mhm.
people didn't like opera, and I just need to go to the masses and
Mhm.
power
Mhm.
to the people and do my thing and let them know that opera ain't that deep and you can find yourself in opera. Then I
Mhm.
started doing the show and I found out white folk don't like opera either. Okay. It's about being exposed, you know.
Right.
And so the audiences that I find that are attracted to opera from a sister's point of view are those audiences that are not seen as the norm, the
Mhm.
elitist audience.
Mhm.
I,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
I get the novice,
Mhm.
and I love that because then what I have to present makes sense. And
Mhm. Mhm.
get a lot of aficionados as well
Mhm.
because they
Mhm.
want a fresh new take.
So
So, and
you're
I also
basically
do it with
go
children.
ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. And I
Go ahead.
also
Go ahead.
do it with children. I go into the school systems and I have a shortened version, which is 30 minutes of music. And I talk in between each one, give the stories, and then there's a 15-minute question answer at the end. And when I sign off and say goodbye and turn my back to leave the stage, and I start hearing the kids as they are filing out of the auditorium going, woo, woo, I know I got them. Okay. So it's just about exposure.
Mhm. Exposure and inspiration, clearly. So let's say you inspire a young person who's 16 years old who has come to an educational outreach concert,
Mhm.
a sister's point of view. You're at the Met, right? We're going with this. You're
Yeah.
at the Met, and you do this outreach concert. Sisters from a sister from a opera from a sister's point of view. Excuse me.
Mhm.
And this 16-year-old is inspired and decides that she wants to become an opera singer. She wants to become the next Angela Brown. So what sort of advice do you tell that 16-year-old student?
Well, first I say thank you. Then I say, but remember, there's only one Angela Brown. You have to be whomever you are. And
Hmm.
I'm glad that you're inspired by me. But
Uh-huh.
just remember, you have to be the best you can be. And to start to study, go and listen to recordings, continue to expose yourself and your parents to this genre of music. Because if we don't also bring along the parents with the students, a lot of times the students will get lost in the wash unless they
Hmm.
find someone that is
Hmm.
willing to take them under their wing and to show them some of these things. But yeah, that's the first thing I would say.
But I mean, how touching is it to know that there are kids and there are students who look up to you, that may look up to you like young girls look up to Beyonce or Rihanna? I mean, you're a legend. You're a legend, whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not, you're a legend. And kids and people will be reading about you 100, 200, 300 years from now. when your legacy is printed in opera history books. I took a year of opera history when I was in graduate school, and I learned about all the greats. And so how does that make you feel, knowing that this 16-year-old who decides to go into music, that goes on to a music school or a university, they're sitting in an opera class maybe 100 years from now and reading about the life and the music of Angela Brown? How do you feel? How does that make you feel?
That's really, I mean, how you have framed this whole question. I'm just like, wow, it's it makes me proud, first of all, because I used to think I didn't have anything to give and I didn't have enough to show. And as I began to go through this career, I can see the bricks beginning to pile up. And I can say, wow, when I look back at my curriculum vitae, I'm like, the Lord allowed me to do all of that. And so I am inspired to continue to give them a good story and one that is true, that they can see themselves in. And I hope to continue to be an inspiration. And yeah, it's awesome to think all of that.
Are you inspired by yourself? Are you inspired by who you are as a person and an artist? Are you inspired by the artistry of Angela Brown?
And it's not a cocky thing. It's a
no.
where I see the hope and the dreams of my ancestors. My mother and father are now in spirit. And I see what it was that they dreamt for me. My mother told me she thought of my name when she was 12 years old. She knew she wanted to name her little girl.
Wow.
And I have been a thought with them from all of that and on into eternity. So yeah, I'm inspired by myself because I'm doing all right and I'm making my ancestors proud.
So Angela was manifested before the actual manifestation took place.
Yeah. Isn't that
something? That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So your legacy was created before you even stepped foot on this earth.
And before I even Angela here knew. I guess I selected this, it depends on what you believe, but this is the life I chose. So
well, I'm asking you this because as artists, and I think for anyone who is just really aspiring to do something at a higher level and on a deeper level, have a deeper impact, that there is this, we all go through this where we've, doubted ourselves or believed that we couldn't do it or had low points in our lives. Can you talk about one point in your life where you felt low as an artist, or you felt like you weren't valuable or you had nothing to contribute? And what'd you do to bring yourself out of that to get you to where you are right now?
I remember when I was in the School of Music, and I guess now they have a name for it. It's called the Imposter Syndrome. And I had the opportunity to do all of these great things. And I've always felt that that opera found me. This wasn't something I dreamt of doing, was singing classical music. I dreamt of singing, okay? I just didn't know what it was going to be packaged in. But when I'm at IU and I'm having all these opportunities and I'm winning competitions and all of that, you would think that I would be like, yes, I'm ready to get out here and do it and conquer the classical music world. But I wasn't. I was just like, ugh. So I was just very beside myself. So I remember going into my studio to Virginia Zayani's studio. And I said to Ms. Zayani, and this is after some great things that happened with the Metropolitan Opera, with this and the other. And I said, Ms. Zayani, I was like, I don't know. Maybe I'll just be a concert singer. I don't know if opera is for me. I don't know. And I'm doing all this. And then she has her glasses on.
Mm-hmm.
She's looking at me like this. Angela slams her glasses on the piano. If you want to be the next Aretha Franklin, go. You need no more lessons. But if you want to be the best Verdian soprano this world has ever seen, you have to work. And I was like,
wow.
And at that point, I realized that she believed in me more than I did.
Mm-hmm.
And that I had a choice, because I didn't have to continue on doing anything. I didn't have to. But I was so far down the road at that point, had already started making a name for myself, even at school. One side of me was like, girl, don't be no fool. You better keep on plugging. You got someone that can help you, that believes in you. Now all you got to do is bring this non-believing self over here along with it. And just stay the course to see what it's going to be. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did. But yes, I've had moments where, like I said, I was like, I didn't even want this. And I got, at least I thought I didn't want it. I didn't know what it was going to look like. I knew what I wanted, but I didn't know it was classical music. I just didn't.
Wow. That's amazing. And so bringing you to where you are right now, I mean, you've had obviously all of this success and you've worked really hard. What does hard work for an opera singer look like? I mean, is it just putting on makeup and a costume and singing a couple high C's and like, what really goes into becoming a legendary star? What does hard work for a singer look like?
Well, I would say hard work for this singer has been, first of all, believing in myself. I had to go through a whole lot of changes, trying to put my mind into this classical box. Then I realized that, why can't you be different? So I have been chiseling away at those classical box walls so that I can become and be the best Angela Brown I can be. So it has been a lot of soul searching, a lot of, when I sing an aria, please excuse me, dog. I don't know why she's doing all this. And I don't
She's
know.
agreeing with you. That's what the dog is doing. The dog is barking because she's like, yes, Angela.
Okay. Then if y'all don't mind the dog barking, I'm gonna get with her in a minute. But I always, we have preconceived notions about what an opera singer is, what they sound like, what they look like,
right?
Should be, how they should carry themselves. I went through all that, from wearing the big wigs and all the jewelry, and my teacher told me one day, baby, you dress more important than you are. You ain't arrived yet. Calm down. That the trappings of an opera singer are just that, trappings. Because you can start to believe in all of this put on stuff, and you ain't working on that voice. You ain't working on those languages. You're not working on that head to get yourself in the game. But you have to find out what's important for you as a person, because you have to like you, and then just do the dang thing. I've done a lot of quote unquote work on me, because like I said, it's nothing that I chose. It chose, the opera chose me.
Mm-hmm.
I sang a lot of gospel. I sang a lot of musical theater.
What's that mean now? What's that mean? You say that opera chose you. What do you mean?
Well, just as I'm saying, I sung all these other genres of music, but I never picked up classical music until I guess it was the last thing I picked up because I didn't think I was worthy because it was classical music.
And
bigger than what I thought my voice could be. But
okay.
I am in there too. And so when I sing, okay, case in point. Someone came in, I think it was Damian Sneed. He told me the story that he came to see me backstage at the Met when I was doing my Aida. And when he walked into my dressing room, because a lot of people were coming in. So he had to tell me the story. But when he came into my dressing room, I was listening to gospel music instead of poring over my score and listening to something, inspirational or not inspiration, but something classical. Okay. And he was surprised by that. But I wasn't surprised by that because I had already gotten to the point in my life, in my head, okay, not chronological life, but in my head life, and I said, I'm going to be me. I'm Angela. And Angela likes us some gospel before she goes out on the stage because it centers me, something inspirational. And yes, I am in there warming up. I am going over my music. I'm all that. But regardless of what I have to go do, I have to feed what's inside me.
Do you feel like you are fed more or nurture your artistic self is nurtured more when you see people of color in the audience and you're performing for them? Is there a different like rush of energy, or do you feel more at home? Or tell me about that. Like, is there a difference?
There is a certain comfort level that you feel when you see an audience that is of mixed races than just one. Okay. And when you people out there that look like you know.
Does it feel like a job, or does it feel like it's just fun? Because when we have those gigs, right, where it's like, this is a job, I'm here to do, and then you have those gigs where you're like, I'm home. Like Carnegie Hall. I remember my debut at Carnegie Hall. I felt like I was home. Like that was my hall for those 2 hours. Or performing at the George Washington Carver Museum in Austin and feeling like seeing so many people of color in the audience and feeling like in the same breath, I was home with my people. Do you have you had those encounters where there've been certain audiences that you've just connected with and it hasn't felt like a gig, but it's felt like this was your life?
Okay, that's 2 questions for me.
Yeah. Okay.
The first thing is what I hear is when this is my job. This is what I do, but I also enjoy it. My father said, you find something you enjoy doing, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
And that is what I have found. And I belong every stage I step on. I step on. Whether it's Carnegie Hall, I belonged there. If it's the Metropolitan Opera, I belonged there. If it's in a park on a cement stage with people picnicking in front of me, I belong there. Whatever stage I find myself in, I belong there at that time. And when it comes to the audience now that's question 2. When it comes to the audience, it's always exciting for me to see my family. Okay. And I'm not talking about my siblings, my mom, my dad, my uncles. I'm talking about my community.
Yeah.
It's beautiful to see my Black community in the audience. But I have also made community with everyone else there. Okay. So I just want to see diversity.
Yes.
I just want to see diversity. So I don't know if I answered the question where you want me to answer.
Yeah, no, but that's good. I
feel good every time I sing, for the most part. I do.
Okay.
Because I have to give a show to whatever audience I'm in front of. Everybody deserves Angela Brown's excellence.
Good. Well, I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
What do you want fans to know about you? So, for instance, what sort of things does Angela Brown like to receive after a show? What sort of things does Angela Brown like to receive just in general? Like, do you like fan mail? Do you like chocolates after a concert? Like, what do you want fans to know about you? What are the things that you like? How do you connect with your fans?
I like hugs from little kids. And that's the truth. I love it when a parent brings their babies. And honey, they have these little dresses on, or these little suits with the bow ties, and they're standing there and they're looking up at me. I mean, they're looking up at me because they're at my knee almost. And then they hug me around my leg. Ooh, I could cry right now.
I just got a warm little tingly feeling. And my producer's over there just like, he's got the sweetest smile on his face right now.
I love it when the babies come. Now, with that said, I love me some flowers. I love a good chocolate.
What kind of chocolate?
Well, now, you know.
Are you Godiva or?
That is good. And I like, but that's also American.
Okay.
I do like some chocolates that I've experienced that I can't think of the names of.
Are they from Brussels? Because Brussels has like some of the best chocolate in the world.
And some Austrian chocolates.
Okay.
A soccer tort. Someone were to bring me a soccer tort from Vienna, I'd be like, what? But yeah, I just like people. I don't need a whole lot of stuff because the Lord has blessed me with stuff.
Yeah.
But I've had artwork done. I love it when someone takes the time to do a rendering of me, like either on the stage. I had this was in my really chunky days, but I had this made of me when I was at Brevard Music Center. My first
that's where I saw you.
Yep.
1998.
Singing. Yep. And it was, I think, the president of the Brevard Music Center, his wife had this done for me from an artist in Brevard, and it's called Sister Sings. So I love artwork, art pieces, flowers. Like I said, flowers, candy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me for this episode. It really just warms my heart to get to know more about you, your work, and just who you are as a person. I respect you so much, and I really mean it when I say that you are a major gift to the classical music world, and truly one of the great living sopranos, who is such an inspiration to not just singers, but I think to instrumentalists, conductors, as well as just avid classical music goers. So thank you for your contributions and to our industry, because it's people like you who keep what we do fresh, alive, and inspiring.
Thank you so much for having me. I wish God's blessings on your venture here.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. I'm sending you a virtual hug. I'm not a little kid, but I hope that you like my hug.
I like the huggies.
Thank you. You can check out Angela Brown on my show, my radio show, Unmute the Voices. You can hear her sing My Man's Gone Now. The second episode of Unmute the Voices will premiere every third Saturday at 3 o'clock Pacific time on King FM. Thank you all so very much for joining us for this episode of Unmute the Voices. Till next time.